All right, what's next for the Arkansas Razorbacks? This is Kyle Graves here with Chris Goodman. A lot has happened since in the last week. Arkansas's got a new coach, Sam Pittman. Chris, what's your take on the new news for the Razorbacks?
I think it's a good hire. A lot of people are skeptical because Sam Pittman's never been a head coach. I don't even know if he's been a coordinator. He was an offensive line coach for Arkansas under Brett Bielema. And then I think he's been at Georgia since he left. I'm not too sure about that one, but done great things at Georgia recruiting offensive linemen. I think he can recruit very good for Arkansas. He loves the state of Arkansas. I saw an interesting fact not too long ago that he actually told his wife and other people that when he retires from football, he's moving to Arkansas and that's where he's living. So
wow.
I mean, to have somebody like that loves the state, it's almost like a Houston Nut type personality, loves the state, loves being here. I think it'll be a good hire.
Well, I saw in the press conference, he teared up, and, I'd tear up too if I saw my bank account. He's making $3 million a year for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And even when he was, assistant coach, he was probably making over, $500,000.
Yeah.
And then I read that if the Razorbacks win more than 6 games, he gets a $250,000 bonus after each win.
Yeah.
So, if we win 7 games, he'll get $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
8 games, $750,000 and on up.
Yeah.
So with incentives like that he wants to win.
Yeah.
And the Razorbacks can only get better. I mean, we're about as bad as I've ever seen.
Yeah. Another little interesting fact about his contract too was if at the time we fire him, if his win total is less than 50%, he only gets 50% of his buyout. So I mean, the incentive of every win getting more and more money, and then that kind of hanging on the shoulder. I mean, I think he'll want to win, and I think he will win games. He just today, kind of to move into his assistants that he's hiring now, announced that Barry Odom is going to be his defensive coordinator, who was the just fired from being the head coach at Missouri.
Wow.
Been there for 4 years, I believe. It's the Missouri hiring Barry Odom, I guess, was kind of like us firing Brett Bielema. The program was just stagnant. It wasn't getting better. He's as the defensive coordinator, it'll be really well because he had Missouri's defense, and of course he had help, but I think they were like number 15 or 17 in the nation in defense at the time of him being fired. So, I mean, as the first coordinating hire for Sam Pittman, I mean, that's a damn good hire. And I know it's a good hire because normally on Facebook and social media, the turnout or the speaking of Arkansas is everybody saying, oh, we're trash and blah, blah, blah. But there's been a lot of people saying, oh, that's a good hire. So, things are looking up for Arkansas right now.
I think it's interesting that these head coaches who are getting fired are getting signed. Same with Morris. Didn't he get signed with Auburn?
Yeah, as offensive coordinator.
So, I mean, it's just interesting that, the Missouri coach gets fired, Arkansas coach gets fired, but yet they get picked up as coordinators, and they might, excel in that limited role, and so they could just focus specifically on defense, specifically on offense.
Yeah.
But then, it's like I heard a statement that didn't make sense to me. Gus Malzahn or Auburn said that, Chad Morris is one of the greatest offensive minds in the country, and I was thinking, well, it's like, well, he certainly didn't prove it here. I mean, it's like, how come if he's so great at calling plays, how come he wasn't calling them here at Arkansas?
Yeah, and that goes back to like what you said. Maybe head coach, I guess, is just a little different. They're not ready to be a head coach, and as an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, you get to focus on one side of the ball. I mean, maybe it just things are different. I mean, who knows?
So, I mean, you think as far as an offensive coordinator goes, you think Joe Brady would leave LSU?
I mean, it'll be hard. Joe Brady's probably looking at a salary increase after the season they're having, so it'd be nice. I've had a source that's been giving me a lot of the information I have, and he threw out a few names for offensive coordinator, and I can't remember any of them. I want to say Charlie Strong, but he may have been for defensive coordinator. But I know if Sam Pittman's hiring a guy like Barry Odom and got Barry Odom to come here, then I know the offensive coordinator, we can find somebody that wants to come here because I mean, if you look on the offensive side of the ball, they have weapons everywhere. So, I mean, it shouldn't be hard to get somebody to be like, okay, that's a young group of guys. I can really work with that. So, you know.
If Sam Pittman really wants to be the head coach of Arkansas, maybe he'd give $1 million of that guaranteed three he's making each year to Joe Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, how long do you want to be the coach? Okay, yeah, you can, you make $3 million for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
But, if we can somehow, if he could take a pay cut, like something like what Tom Brady does with the Patriots, it's like, how bad do you really want to win? A guy like Tom Brady wants to win, he'll take a pay cut to get better players around him.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a lot of these, it's just kind of greed, I mean, think how much money the Razorbacks have forked over to Bielema and then now Morris. But, I mean, have you heard something that since he's going to take the Auburn position, do we have to pay less?
Oh, yeah, I want to say we have to pay him less now because he's accepting an actual role. But I'm sure we'll still have to pay him a little bit.
Sure.
There's no telling, But him definitely taking a job, I'm sure that knocks some of it down. We won't be paying him a whole lot anymore.
Well, playoffs are coming up. What's your take on some of the college playoff games?
Let's see who's in it. It's LSU, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson. Go Tigers. I think LSU is going to just take this thing over, man. It's their year. I've said for a long time that all LSU's needed is a quarterback to get in there and play, and they have one now. LSU, I think the last night was the award show, and they gave out all the best player, for each position award, and LSU had 4 guys take home awards. And then Coach O won Coach of the Year. So, I mean, I really think just what LSU has going, they're going to win it all. I think it'll be LSU and Ohio State in the championship game. And I'll say LSU wins like 45-42 or something. It's going to be a shootout probably.
Odom won Coach of the Year, and then Brady won the Broyles Award for Best Assistant Coach.
Yeah, so I mean, so there you go. I mean, they're taking in all the awards. They're going to take in that national championship trophy. They're going to come back next year with a really solid recruiting class, and Arkansas is going to have to get ready for. I think we play them a little bit earlier in the year next year. We're going to have to get ready for it, along with the rest of our schedule. Schedule's tough next year.
The Razorbacks can only get better. I just hope we beat UAPB next year. If we lose to UAPB, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think I think we play them in 2021, so we have at least one more season to prepare for them. And of course. We've been talking about the offense or the defensive side of the ball. There's been a couple of guys on defense, and now Cameron Curl announced he's going to go to the draft. He was the 4th-rated DB in the SEC, which I don't know if 4th-rated DB in the SEC. I don't know if that's good enough to get you drafted, but good luck to him. By all means, good luck to him. And then Colin Clay was a freshman defensive end. He announced he's going to transfer, but. Other than that, everybody seems to be wanting to stay home. Devin Bush announced earlier in the year he was transferring, and now he's coming back, took his name out. So, I mean, we've had a lot of decommitments since the firing, but not a lot of guys want to leave, which is very good. So maybe the next coaches can get in and keep these guys here, get them bought in. The early signing period for high school is next week, I think. So hopefully Pittman can make his mark on some guys and we can get some guys signed.
Specifically, what do you think we need from recruits? Do we need? Should we focus more on defense? For the recruiting, high school players, defenders, offensive players. What do you think we're missing right now that we need to focus on?
We definitely need to recruit offensive linemen. Our offensive line is, I mean, they're good and they're big, but we went, a couple of years ago. I think. When we had Sam Pittman the first time as an O-line coach was the time when we had the biggest offensive line in football, period. I mean, those guys averaged like 6'5", 320. They were huge. We had Dan Skipper, 6'10". We had Sebastian Tretola. He was like 6'5". I mean, they were massive guys. And now you look at the offensive line, and I think Ty Clary's like 6'2", 280. I mean, he's like my size almost, So it definitely
that was kind of around the time that we beat Texas.
Yeah, I mean that's when we were we were a dominant team. We didn't have the dominant win-loss record, but we were a dominant team when it came to being up front. Not too many D-lines were able to get through us and make tackles. And now I play offensive line, so I notice a lot more than some people do. And I play center specifically, and watching the snaps, they're a little slow. Watching the offensive line, they just look, not that they're bad, they just look way overmatched. When you got a guy at the D tackle spot who's fast, he's big, he's strong, he's like 6'4", 280. And then you've got a guy like Ricky Stromberg, he was a freshman this year starting, in the SEC in the trenches. As scary as that is, it just got overpowered, couldn't do, a whole lot. So I say we definitely start out O-line first. And then I want to say the secondary. Get some better guys in the secondary. That's what we need to focus on. Because everywhere else, you look at QB, we should be good at QB. Running back, we're good at running back. Receivers, we got Trey Knox hopefully staying, Traylon Burks. I don't think we had a single senior receiver on the team. So definitely O-line is where I'd go. I think D-end, with Colin Clay leaving, I still think D-end and D-line, we're pretty good on depth there. And then, linebacker play, we could probably get some better linebackers in there. But really, offensive line is where I'd start out.
Well, it seems like they get overlooked for whatever reason. The O-line and D-line, they get overlooked. But, without a good O-line, you're not going to be able to move the ball.
Yeah. It's like you said, it gets overlooked a lot. Like I said, I play O-line, and I know for a fact, if you don't have a good offensive line or a good defensive line, you're not going to be a very good team. It's as simple as that. Because, you look last year at Ty Story trying to throw the ball, he never had time to, And now you look at Ty Story with Western Kentucky, where they have a good offensive line. It tore us up, So if you have a good offensive line, that can make or break your team, really.
Wow. Well, it's exciting. I'm hopeful and optimistic about the Razorbacks. It's like I said, we can only get better. We can't. We're about as down as I've ever seen the Hogs.
Yeah.
So it's just we have to stay optimistic as a Razorback fan.
Yeah.
But I know you're a Green Bay Packers fan. Switching it up to the NFL. What do you think the Packers make a run at the Super Bowl?
Well, the bad thing about the Packers is we're in the NFC, and we're in the NFC North, I believe, to even make it worse. So we have playoff pictures looking like we'll be the number 1 seed out of the NFC North, and then we'll probably play the Vikings. Vikings could very well beat us first round. Or, we have the Saints in the NFC. We have the 49ers in the NFC. So, look, as a Green Bay fan, I want to say, we can go to the Super Bowl, but as a football fan, it's going to be hard to beat them teams, man. It's going to be really hard.
Who do you think wins the Super Bowl?
The Ravens, to be honest with you. The Ravens have really I heard some guys talking earlier, Lamar Jackson, the way he's playing right now, I don't know who can stop him. The Ravens are going to go, I think, all the way. If the guy earlier made an interesting point. He said that the Patriots, come crunch time like this in the playoffs, always find a way to win. So, I say it'll be the Patriots or the Ravens. The Ravens are AFC, right? I think they are. It'll be the Patriots or the Ravens coming out of there, and they'll probably play the 49ers or the Saints out of the NFC. So,
I think the Patriots are probably going to get beat in the first round of the playoffs. They miss Gronk so bad, and you can't replace Gronk. I think they've lost the last couple games. They have no receiver that they can throw the ball to when they need a pass.
Yeah.
And Gronk was that sure-handed guy, and you can't just replace him.
No.
And the Patriots are obviously suffering because they have no sure-handed receiver.
Yeah.
Do you think the Cowboys make it to the playoffs?
I think the Cowboys will make it to the playoffs just because their division is the weakest division in football. So the Cowboys, I think, are sitting at 6-6 or 6-7, and the rest of their division maybe has 6 wins combined. The rest of the 3 teams may have 6 wins combined. So they'll make the playoffs. Are they going very far? No, I'm going to say no right now. Alonzo's not here, so I can say that.
No.
But yeah, They're not. They're not going very far, man.
Do you think this is Garrett's last year?
What's his name? The owner of the Cowboys. I just lost his name.
Jones.
Yeah, Jones. He's Jerry Jones. He said he's not going to fire him, but I mean, Jerry Jones is a money man, and you don't make very much money losing. Look at the Razorbacks. They've lost out on a lot of ticket money losing games, so it could be. He said he's not going to fire him, but if I were the one calling the shots, I'd probably fire him.
He's been there for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the Razorbacks. The program is stagnant. There's been no growth. There's been no, at least making it to the Super Bowl. There's been none of that. I mean, you gotta, if you want to move on, you got to move on.
Especially, Urban Myers. I wish the Hogs would have gotten Urban, but I guess we don't have that $10 million that we can drop that Alabama does on Nick Saban.
Yeah, we don't have the extra revenue coming, especially after going 4-20 the last 2 years. We don't have that extra revenue to throw at somebody.
Well, switching it up to the basketball, what do you think of the Hogs so far?
This basketball team is playing great. They had their first loss, I think it was this past Saturday, to Western Kentucky. In which I was saying to somebody else, if you're going to lose a basketball game in non-conference, to start out here, Western Kentucky would have been the one.
They seem like they're always a dominant Sun Belt team.
Yeah, that's an okay loss. And not that any losses are okay, but that's an okay one to lose. And we have Tulsa tomorrow. They're an 8-2 team. Arkansas, of course, 8-1. So that's another game that's going to be tough. It's in Bud Walton, so that helps. But, that'll be another tough game to play. And then I think the next non-conference game we have is Indiana, in Indiana. So, these last couple games, I think it's Indiana. These last couple games are going to be tough ones to win. But we need games like this. We need to find out who this team is. We need to find out what they can do. And the Western Kentucky loss, I think we lost by 7 or 8. It was a 2-point game with like 3 seconds left in the game. And fouls and free throws, they were able to pull away a little bit. But Mason Jones a couple games ago knocking in a game winner. This team fights, and that's as a Razorback fan, that's all you can ask for is to fight till the game's over. They show a lot of fight. They show they can win games. They show they can make the plays to put themselves into a chance to win the game. And you can't ask much more of that. If there's a chance to win the game, that's okay if we lose, because at least there was a chance there, rather than just laying down and getting your butt kicked the whole time.
I like Muscleman. It's too early for me to call, whether he's going to be, to me, a better coach than Mike. I just hope we can turn the corner to where we start just curb stomping folks again, like the Hogs did back with Nolan.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can get us there. The last game that I saw, a loose ball went out of bounds and he caught it and he slammed it on the ground, and it was startling because I'm just not used to seeing that much emotion. Mike was very stoic, and then he kind of reminded me of Nick Saban, just throwing a temper tantrum on the sideline, and as a player in high school, I didn't really respond well to that, but maybe some players do. And obviously it's worked well for Alabama and Nick Saban. Some players, I guess, need that more aggressive, kind of borderline scary coach. What do you think? Is your take on that?
I like it. I'm more of a, if a coach shows me that he cares and he has that passion, and he, to me, that said a lot about Muscleman. It may have been a little overboard, but when he did it, the crowd got up and they were like, cheering, because we haven't had that before. We haven't had a coach.
Definitely different.
Yeah, we haven't had a coach. Like you said, Anderson didn't do that. Muscleman is in here, and he's yelling. If you watch him while the Hogs are on defense, if it's down on our bench, I watch him more than I watch the game sometimes just because of how he is. He's up, he's calling, he's clapping. He's really into the game. He's really energized, and that's kind of what – when a program goes stagnant, and I don't want to say the basketball team was stagnant, and I use that word a lot under Anderson, but when it loses its kind of mojo almost, it loses its energy, and, a coach like this that comes in and is real fired up and loves his job, and not that Anderson didn't, and loves his jobs and, can bring energy to the team, that's how you start out the season, 8-1. That's how you win these games. You get a fire lit under you. It can be really good. And, like you said, it's too early to tell how good he's going to be. But so far, I'm impressed. As a Razorback fan, it's hard to get, or it's easy to get impressed, and it's hard to not get happy. But as of right now, it's looking like we're going to be good.
If we keep on winning, it's kind of hard to be mad at that.
Yeah. You can't be mad at wins. No matter what the coach does.
So hopefully Juracek, hits another home run with Pittman.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And the Razorbacks just keep improving.
Yeah.
And we'll just wait and see what the Razorbacks do next. All right. Thank you, Chris, for talking with us today.
Yep.
All right, YouTube.